There are calculations though, but it is always safe for us to first of all explain some. Can we see my screen? Can we see my screen now?
Yes, it's better now.
All right, thank you. So there, before we can proceed to all the calculation, not that we cannot go and start from calculation, but some of us we are not familiar with it. It's not like ever that some of us are familiar with. Some people, yes, we did it in the school, but we are forgetting some things. So there is always a need for us to understand some taxation jargons, to understand some of their terminologies. So that is the reason why, if you notice, even the class we had yesterday, the PM and MI class, it was written all through. I guess the peace survey we had with you guys also, it was written. It was just reading. The auditing, that one is even written. The which one? He had FM with you today. I think it was also written. So don't feel discouraged. Just try to listen to whatever they are saying, gain one thing or the other from whatever they are saying. Jot down. All these things they are needed. Is can set question from there. So please take note of that. So these are the learning objectives. These are the contents, and then these are the objectives. So we move to canons of taxation. So when they say canon, they are talking about the principles. What are the principles of taxation? And don't forget, please pay attention to this tax, because they just implemented new Nigeria Tax Act or tax law, and they have changed some things compared to what you have known when you were in school. When we were in school, we calculated education tax. There is nothing like education tax again. They have changed tax table. So these are the things you need to be paying attention to. These are the things you need to pay attention to. Please let us make sure we are meticulous about this. So canon, what is the meaning of canon of taxation? What is the meaning of canons of taxation? Canons of taxation refer to the characteristics or qualities which good tax system should possess. They relate to the administrative parts of the tax. So canon, it relates to administrative parts of the tax, how tax is being administered, who is to be charged, who is to be taxed, who is expected to collect tax, if there is tax issue, if uh, there is dispute, who are we expected to meet, who is regulating the tax in Nigeria. So those are some of the things we'll be considering in this class. Then we have types of canon of taxation. Types of canon of taxation. Don't forget that we say that canons of taxation refer to the characteristics, the qualities of a good tax system. So the first canon we have is canon of equality. Canon of equality. Canon of equality states that the burden of taxation must be distributed equally or equitably among taxpayers. The burden of the tax liability should be to be paid, should be what? Should be distributed equally among taxpayers. However, this sort of equality robs of justice because not all taxpayers have the same ability to pay taxes. Rich people are capable of paying more taxes than poor people. Thus, justice demands that the person having greater ability to pay must pay large taxes. And that is even the essence of this their new tax law. Before, there was no that equality when they were using first 300,000, next 300,000, next 600,000. But now that they have actually now changed it to first 800,000, next 1.5, you can see that the rich pay higher tax compared to the poor. So, what are they trying to say here is that a good tax system must have a principle of equality, a canon of equality. So, we move to the second canon. We have canon of certainty. The tax which an individual has to pay should be certain and not arbitrary. It should be certain. You should be able to know the amount you should pay as tax. And that is what they are trying to achieve when they introduce percentage. You could see that with percentage, you can actually know the proportion of your tax of your income that is going for tax. You could easily decide. That's the reason they say that value added tax is 7.5%. It is certain. You already know that you are expected to pay VAT. So what is the percentage of VAT to be paid? 7.5%. Withholding tax, 5%. So they are just trying to make sure that they inculcate that canon of certainty. Canon of certainty. That is, tax liability ought all to be clear and plain to taxpayer and everyone. I've explained this. So that is what principle of canon of tax certainty is talking about. We also have canon of economy. Canon of economy. The canon implies that the cost of collecting a tax should be as minimum as possible. Should be as minimum as possible. When we want to collect tax, the cost of collecting that tax should be as minimum as possible. Any tax that involves high administrative costs are usually delay in assessment and high collection of taxes should be avoided altogether. We have canon of convenience. Canon of convenience. Taxes should be levied and collected in such a manner that it provides the greatest convenience, not only to the taxpayer but also to the government. And that is the reason you can see them coming with diverse kind of invention, coming with how many of us have heard about tax pro max? Have you heard about tax pro max before?
I've heard of it.
Okay, but do you know that they are not using tax pro max again now? So what are they using now? They just introduced one website like that or platform where a taxpayer can actually go and pay the tax conveniently. So what is the name of that platform? ICAN students, skill student, professional students. Are we together?
We are not hearing you, sir.
Hey, you're not hearing me. I did not talk all this while. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I'm hearing you small, 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 small.
You can hear me now. Okay. Glory to God that you can hear me now. So I was asking that before. They were using tax promas. Now they are not using tax promas again. What are they using now?
Yes,
They
before they were
just
using
introduced a
tax
particular
promos, but
platform.
now, eh?
Yes. Now what are they using?
They are using Rev 360.
Yeah, that's the current students. So they are using Rev 360 now. So what are they trying to do? They are trying to make sure that the taxpayers they are convenient in paying their tax. They can pay tax conveniently, and also the government can what can collect the tax conveniently. So we have spoken about the three canons now. We spoke about canons of certainty. We spoke about canon of equality. We spoke about canon of convenience, and we spoke about canon of economy. The next is canon of productivity. Canon of productivity. If I were you, I will actually try to write all this canon. Just jot it down. That is how to form short notes or bucket notes. These are the notes you are going to fall back to
Hmm?
when the exam is approaching. I'm saying that I'm expecting each and every one of us to be jotting down all this canon now. Just write canon of taxation or whichever types of canon of taxation. Then be jotting it down. Be jotting it down. All right.
Okay.
So, according to a well-known classical economist in the field of public finance, Charles F. Barstable, taxes must be productive or cost-effective. This implies that the revenue yield from any tax must be a sizable one. Further, this cannot state that only taxes that do not hamper productive efforts of the community should be imposed. Only taxes that do not hamper productive efforts of the community should be imposed. The tax is said to be productive only one and only when it acts as incentives to production. We also have canon of elasticity, canon of simplicity. Every tax must be simple and intelligible to the person so the taxpayer is able to calculate it without taking the help of tax consultants. Tax should be simple. You should be able to just close your eyes and open your eyes like this and say that this is the amount that you're supposed to pay as tax. All right. So we have canon of diversity. Taxation must be dynamic. This means that the country tax structure ought to be dynamic and diverse in nature rather than being narrow and rigid. Are we still together?
Yes, we are.
All right, thank you. So we
Yes,
move
sir.
to we move to characteristics of taxation. Characteristics of taxation. A good tax system must fulfill the following characteristics. The distribution of tax burden should be equal to, the canon we have spoken about is still, they said that canon is like characteristics, like policy. So it is just like a repetition of what we have said earlier. So if you can mention the canon, we have canon of equality, canon of simplicity, canon of convenience, canon of productivity. All those canons we have mentioned is still what they are trying to repeat here. It's just that they are now putting in a sentence form. So as for example now, a good tax system must fulfill the following characteristics where the distribution of tax burden should be equitable. That is canon of equitability or equitable. So we have B, equity, canon of equity. We have when they just increased the tax rate we were using before from uh from 7%, they brought it to 15%. So they are trying to change their tax rate just because of what? Of the circumstances at hand. We can say we have a good tax system in Nigeria actually, based on what we just read actually. So we have a good tax system is expected to facilitate the use of fiscal policy to achieve the goals of sustain, stable, oh sorry, to achieve the goal of stability and economic growth. For the attainment of this goal, there must be a built-in flexibility in the tax structure. From the above discussion, it follows that taxation serves as price revenue for the government. So if they ask you that what is the purpose of taxation, what is taxation is being used for? What is the main reason why government levy taxation? The question can come in any form, but still has this same meaning that what is the purpose of taxation? The first purpose is that taxation can be used to what? To raise revenue for the government. As a matter of fact, one of the major source of income or major source of revenue of the government as far as Nigeria is concerned is taxation. It's taxation. They collect value added tax, collect petroleum profit tax, hydrocarbon tax, they collect personal income tax, they collect withholding tax, they collect capital gain tax. Even maybe very soon now, they'll be collecting dowry tax. So as the husband will be paying dowry, they will be taxing that off. That one also in your hands. Actually, we don't know yet. So we have the second reason why taxation is being levied on individual is for income, redistribution of income, to redistribute income and wealth from the rich to the poor, to redistribute income and wealth from the rich to the poor. The next reason is protect domestic industries from foreign competition. You can see if they are not charging tax in Nigeria, foreign competitors they will have dominated Nigeria's, not giving allowance for the local industries or domestic industries to actually rise. So with the use of tax, they try to protect domestic industries from foreign competitors. Also, we have promote social welfare. Promote social welfare. So we move to the key provision and application of national tax policy 2017 in Nigeria. All right. For the purpose of national tax policy, tax is any compulsory payment. So if they ask you what is tax, so what is tax? Class, what is tax? Who can define tax for us based on what you know? Let someone speak up.
Tax is a compulsory levy that is imposed by the government on the citizens or residents of a country or people doing business in a country in order to generate revenue
Yeah.
to
Thank you
meet
so
the
thank,
yes.
yeah, thank you so much, man. That is tax. That is the meaning of tax. As simple as this question is, they can ask you, but it's just that they can just twist it in a way that it may be looking confusing. Whereas what they are still asking for is what is tax. They can give you a scenario and after they have now given you the scenario, they will now be asking questions regarding that. So please let us take note of that. Tax then is a compulsory levy that is being imposed by the government on the citizen of the country without quid pro quo, without you are not expecting them to give you benefit for paying the tax. That is the reason you just need to pay your tax. Either the government like they can do good by maximizing or by using your tax for proper purpose. And if they wish, they may not use it. So you don't have any right to sue them to court for that. And you are not expecting anything from them. If they do good road for you, well, good. So that is tax for you. What is the objective of the national tax policy? Objective of the national tax policy. Objective of the national tax policy. When they say national tax policy, they are the policies that regulate tax at the national level, like from the national level to the state level to the federal government level, to the local government rather. National tax policy. Number one, to guide the operation and review of the tax system. That's the what? That is the first objective of national tax policy, to guide the operation and review of the tax system. B, to provide the basis for future tax legislation and administration. You could see now that before we have Federal Inland Revenue Service, right? Do you know that we don't? There is nothing like Federal Inland Revenue Service again. We now have Nigeria Revenue Service. Just based on their new restructuring and the likes, they have been able to do what? To provide another legislation to restructure the tax system in Nigeria, just to be able to have been in conformity with the international standard and acceptable standards. So they provide the national tax policy, provide the basis for future tax legislation and administration. They serve as a point of reference for all stakeholders on taxation. If they provide benchmark on which stakeholders shall be held accountable. They also provide clarity on the roles and responsibility of the stakeholders in the tax system. So we have guiding principles of tax, guiding principle of Nigeria tax system. What are the guiding principles? Just as the canon we have treated the other time is still coming here again. We have equity and fairness. We have simplicity, certainty, and clarity. We have convenience. We have low compliance cost, that is economy, as we have spoken earlier. We have low cost of administration. We have flexibility. We have sustainability. These are the these are the guiding principles of Nigeria tax policy. Then we have relevance of the tax system to wealth creation and employment as provided for in the Nigeria tax policy. Relevance of the tax system to wealth creation and employment as provided for in the national tax policy. We have a tax policy and laws shall be retro, retroactive. Shall be retroactive. Tax policy and laws should ensure equal investment opportunities and support for businesses, whether local or foreign. Tax policy and laws on investment should be long-term focused and tenure to enable investors to plan with reasonable certainty. So you can actually try to read up all these ones. Still plenty. So you can read up all these. responsibilities of the stakeholder under the national tax policy. So who are the stakeholders? We have rightfully know that stakeholder are those people that can be affected or affect a particular activities of an entity. So in case of this taxation now, we can consider national tax policy as an entity. Who are the stakeholder? We have government, we have taxpayer, we have tax authority, etc. So what are their responsibility? The government now, all levels and arms of government, ministries, extra ministerial department and agencies where applicable shall implement and regularly review tax policy and laws. That is one of their responsibility. So these are the questions that they might likely ask as well. They can tell you that you explain the responsibility of various stakeholders under the national tax policy. So you should be able at least to remember that stakeholder. Who are the stakeholder? Who are the stakeholder of Nigeria tax policy? The government, we talk about the government, they are to implement and regularly review tax policy and law. They provide information on all revenue collected on a quarterly basis. They ensure adequate funding, administrative and operational autonomy to tax authorities, and ensure a reasonable transition period of between 3 and 6 months before implementation of a new tax law. So we have taxpayer also. Is another stakeholder of the what of the national tax policy. So who is a taxpayer? It may be a person, it may be a group of people, it may be an entity that is liable to pay tax. As you are now, you are liable to pay tax. And as much as you are working somewhere, and as much as you are even a citizen of Nigeria, you are likely to pay tax. But the kind of tax you are now expected to pay may be varied. Some people have almost all of us we are paying value added tax. Some people are paying withholding tax. Some people are paying personal income tax. Some people are paying company income tax, depending on the category in which you actually belong. So, what are your responsibilities as a taxpayer? What are my responsibilities as a taxpayer? We have relevant information for the discharge of tax obligation. Be able to provide relevant information obligation. Receive prompt, courteous, and professional assistance in dealing with tax authorities. And that is the reason we see some people that they will call tax consultant. As a matter of fact, after you are done with this taxation and advanced taxation, you can be a tax consultant giving the taxpayers advice on how they can actually deal with tax authority. Raise objection to decision and assessment and receive response within a reasonable time. So you as a taxpayer as well, um, if you are not pleased with the assessment or the tax liability you have been served by the tax authority, you can raise objection that objection, my lord, I'm not expected to pay so amount as tax. And there is a grand guideline for that as well, which we are going to get to even in the course of this course. A fair and impartial appeal. Yes, you can appeal also. You have the rights, you have the responsibility to appeal. Self-representation or by any agent of choice, provided an agent acting for financial reward shall be accredited tax practitioner. Shall be accredited tax practitioner. So we have revenue agency. Don't forget we are talking about various stakeholders' responsibilities as far as Nigeria national tax policy is concerned. What are their responsibilities? So we have spoken about the government. We have spoken about the responsibility of the government. We have spoken about the responsibility of taxpayers. So we move to responsibility of revenue agencies. Any agencies responsible for the collection and admission of revenue shall treat the taxpayer as customer. That's one of their responsibility. Ensure efficient implementation of tax policies, laws, and international treaties. That is one of the reasons why for those of us that we are working already, I don't know, some of us we have experienced some people coming to our organization saying that they want to come and perform tax audits. They are like revenue agency, those people that collect revenue, they collect tax on behalf of the government. So they carry out tax audit, they carry out tax investigation. Those are their responsibilities. We have undertake tax awareness and taxpayers education. It's also their responsibilities to undertake tax awareness and tax education. We have established a robust process to prevent, detect, and punish corrupt tax officials. We have professional bodies, tax practitioners, consultants, and agents. They are also an example of they are also example of stakeholders of national tax policy. Professionals such as chartered accountants, such as chartered chartered those who have CITN. Yeah, I don't know what their own chartered they are also practitioners. All right. Professionals act in accordance with professional code of conduct and ethics, not aid and abet tax evasion and corrupt practices, and actively promote effective tax compliance. So we have media and an advocacy group. They have the responsibility to protect or to promote tax education and awareness, articulate, protect, and advance taxpayers' rights, advance accountability and transparency in the utilization of tax revenue, ensure accurate, objective, and balanced reporting in accordance with their professional code of conduct and ethics, ensure an aspiring political office holder clearly understand the tax policy and the Nigerian tax system and can articulate their plans for the tax system to which they will be held accountable. So we have the mandate of the three tiers of government under the national tax policy. Are we still together? Are we still together? Are we still together?
Yes, sir, we are.
Yes, so are we? You are here, right?
Yes, we're here.
All right, thank you. Mandate of three tiers of government under the national tax policy. Mandate of, don't forget where we started from. We started from the canon of taxation. We moved to characteristics. We moved to the Nigeria or national tax policies, and then we moved to the responsibilities of stakeholders under national tax policies. Then now we are talking about mandate of the three tiers of government under the national tax policies. Three tiers of government. Okay. So, all right. We have a registration of taxable person. All taxable persons shall be registered and issued with tax identification number. Thing. I want us to be paying attention to all these things, and that's one of the reasons why, as a student, you need to be current. As I'm just explaining these things, some things are just coming to my head. Some recent issues. Hope you know that they are trying to not they are trying not to use tin number again. They are trying to introduce something else now. It skipped my mind. There a particular number they are trying to introduce now that they are using instead of tin number. And that's one of the reasons why ICAN used to review their syllabus every 5 years. In the next 5 years now, they are going to take away all these things. So they may ask you just to test if you are current or not. Even these 3 tiers of government, I read something of recent that they want to make it 4 tiers now. They want to consider the sixth geopolitical zone. So it will now be 4 tiers instead of 3 tiers. So these are the little issues that you can actually try to have the knowledge of so that ICAN can set anything settable. You can bring anything bringable. You will be able to at least navigate. So, but what we have in the part, they said all taxable persons shall be registered and issue tax with tax identification number applicable nationwide. Tax authorities should leverage on the database of Central Bank of Nigeria on bank verification number, national identification number, Nigeria Communication Commission (NCC), Corporate Affairs Commission, Federal Road Safety Commission, Nigerian Immigration Services, and other relevant sources. So what are they trying to say here now is that if you notice the other time when they first of all implemented the new tax law, they were saying that they want to use your BVN or your NIN number as your tax identification number. That once you have your NIN number, your national identification number, it becomes your what? Your TIN number. So what are they going to do? They are trying to register with that particular data they have access to. They can actually register for every individual who has actually been registered with NIMC. So they can leverage on those people on the data they have collected to actually register taxable person. Also, we have tax compliance. Don't forget, we are talking about the mandate of the 3 tiers of government under Nigeria tax policy. What is their mandate? What are they expected to do? Number one, they must register, they must do registration for all taxable persons. Tax compliance, they must ensure that all taxable persons actually comply with the required tax law. Government shall apply all available resources and tools at their disposal to ensure that taxpayers voluntarily comply with their tax obligation. To improve voluntary compliance, the relevant authority should ensure that the option of self-assessment in place and the process and procedure are simple. And that's one of the reasons why they were people are saying that maybe towards the end of this year now, maybe they will start calling some people to come to bank that okay, so amount enter into your account from January to December, come and account for it. Did you pay the tax, etc., etc.? So if that is actually true, we don't know if it is true. If that is true, what are they trying to do? They are trying to make sure that everybody comply with what? With tax laws. We comply with tax laws. So, and we have self-assessment. We are still going to delve into that deeply as we continue in this class. The self-assessment is just a thing whereby you yourself, you go to the tax authority and you declare your income, you declare your revenue, you declare your profit, and you tell them, okay, after I've considered my revenue and the likes and my profit, this is my profit, and you file your tax liability. And that is what they are expecting from each and every one of us. Even if you have business, they're expecting you to file or to do self-assessment for yourself so that there will not be issues. So I'm advocating for the Nigerian tax or Nigerian Revenue Service. If you have business or you are a taxable person and you have not been paying your tax, go and pay your tax. All right. Development of framework for tax amnesty to expand the tax net. Focus on taxpayer services, constant tax education and enlightenment. The overall performance of tax system is measured and reported periodically. The establishment of system to recognize and honor tax compliance. So we have efficiency of administration. Don't forget, we are talking about the mandate of the 3 tiers of government. The mandate of the 3 tiers of government. We have spoken about the fact that the registered taxpayers, they make sure that taxpayers stay compliant. They make sure that there is an efficiency of administration. The following are important in ensuring efficient tax administration. We have payment processing and collection. Collection system shall leverage on modern technology towards advising ease of payment and prevention of revenue losses. You can see what they are doing. The Rev 360 they just implemented again is one of the methodology they have put in place to make sure that the tax administration is efficient enough so that they will be able to collect their tax. They will be able to collect what they have to collect from the taxpayer. We have record keepings. Tax authorities shall partner with the relevant agency to set up automated system and adequately train tax officers in the use and maintenance of such system. Electronic system of record keeping in line with global best practice should be entrenched to enhance the tax administration process. We have exchange of information, we have enforcement of laws, we have funding of tax authorities, funding of tax refund, ease of paying taxes, revenue autonomy, technologies and tax intelligence, dispute resolution. So these are the mandates of the 3 tiers of government. So implementation measures under Nigerian tax policy. The Federal Ministry of Finance has a pivotal role to play in the development and implementation of the tax policy. Accordingly, the ministry shall take appropriate steps to ensure that it receives cooperation from the following: the President and the Governor, the legislature. Who are the legislature, please? Who are the
Those that
legislature?
actually, those that make laws.
Thank you. Those that make laws. That was the reason the other time the new Nigeria tax law they just implemented. You can see, even though they did, even though they did not read it, they just stamp everything for us. They pass the bill and the bill becomes law that is regulating you and I today. So they collaborate with these people, the president and the governor, the legislature, the Ministry of Finance. Okay, let us see what Ministry of Finance will do. Set in motion machineries for tax reform as they just done. You know that as a matter of fact, you will even pass it. You must pass this exam because everything we are treating now, they are applicable. That's one of the things I like in tax. They are what you can see. They are not abstract. The what's it called? The financial statement, the group accounting we are practicing, we have been dealing with. They will be teaching you and the likes. We have not been able to practice it, but you see tax, they are what you can relate with. So they set in motion machinery for tax refund, establish a tax policy implementation committee to monitor compliance, regularly review the policy and make appropriate recommendations. Roman figure 3, ensure automation of collection and remittance process of taxes by all ministries, extra-ministerial departments and agencies. Work with legislation to ensure that the requisite changes to tax law are enacted together with the Appropriation Act of the same year. This will require the executive to timely present tax law as executive bill for the timely consideration of the National and State House of Assembly. Establish an Office of Tax Simplification which shall be responsible for ensuring continuous improvement of tax legislation and administration. Tax policy website. These are the what? These are the responsibilities of Ministry of Finance. They are responsible. Give periodic reports to National Economic Council (NEC) on tax policy implementation agenda. So those are their responsibilities. We have ministries, departments, and agencies. Don't forget what we are trying to talk about. Don't forget the heading implementation measures under the tax policy before they can actually implement, like for this tax policy to be implemented. Who do we need? Who should work together? We have the president, we have the legislature, we have the Ministry of Finance, we have tax authorities the tax authorities to promote tax awareness and a tax culture in Nigeria. The federal and state authorities through the Joint Tax Board shall set aside a uniform day in the year as a national tax day. Also, government should make concerted effort to ensure that
The only one that is not hearing him, is he still online?
I think his network is off. I think maybe he wants to reboot his battery or his system, something like that. So we should just wait. He's going to join us very soon.
Okay, thank you.
Please, let's calm down for him. I think he's correctly doing something, so let's just calm down. He will join us soon.
Hello, sorry for that break in transmission, please. Sorry for that break in transmission. Hello, can you hear me now? Can you hear me? Hello, hello.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right. So sorry, please.
Hello.
Yeah, I'm listening now. My data got exhausted, and sorry, please. So I was explaining fiscal policy. I said fiscal policy is the use of taxation and public expenditure to influence the level of economic activities. The implementation of fiscal policy is essentially rooted through government budgets. The budget is therefore more than a plan of administering the government sector. It both reflects and shapes country economic life. In fact, the most important aspect of a public budget is the use is its use as a tool in the management of nation's economy. Fiscal policy deals with, you see all this story, please go and check it out. We move to monetary policy. So if fiscal policy is the use of taxation and public expenditure to reshape and shape the economic of a nation, then what is monetary policy? This is implemented by the what? By central bank, and it involves policy aimed at controlling the stock of money in the economy, which has the potential to reduce inflation.
Please, are we still waiting for him, or am I the only one waiting?
Waiting for him. Oh.
Sorry, please accept my sincere apology, please. Sorry, please. So please, um, I was asking a particular question the other time before I actually get to know that the the network was down again. So are we together now? Can we hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Please, sorry. So I was asking a question that we have discussed fiscal policy, we've discussed monetary policy. So what is fiscal policy? Who can tell me what fiscal policy is? Or we have forgotten. What is fiscal policy? Or you did not get that aspect so that I can go back to it. Hello.
Yeah, with you, bro.
Yes, I'm asking a question that what is fiscal policy? I think I've explained it. Is it that you did not get it then? Maybe the network went off when I was trying to explain. I just want to know where we stop. The last statement of mine that you actually can. Because
Okay.
I kept okay.
When you were saying about when you talked about fiscal policy, I don't think I got it too, I but I noticed when you said when you talked about you were saying fiscal policy and monetary policy, and you said monetary policy is being did you say it's being enacted by the CBN? Then that fiscal policy, I don't know whether you say it's being enacted by the tax officers. I don't know, but that monetary policy, I remember when you said about when you talked about that monetary policy, it was done by CBN.
Okay. Okay. Is there any other person that can help us with it?
Okay, though I was not here when you were talking about fiscal policy, but then I think just a brief thing I know since school days. I think fiscal policy is like how governments use spending and tax to influence the economy.
Yes. How they use it is the use of taxation and public expenditure to influence the economy, to stabilize the economy. While monetary policy is the use of is the use of how will I put it now? Let me check the definition. Okay, monetary policy is the one of the two controlling money for supply in the company of a nation by monetary authorities to achieve desired growth. As Ijoma actually said the other time that it is being used by CBN to control the money that is actually in circulation. To control the money that is in circulation. I would say monetary policy consists of government formal effort to manage the money in the economy in order to what? To realize specific economic growth goals. Three basic kind of monetary policy decision can be made about the amount of money in circulation. They use monetary policy to actually make decision as touching the total money that will be in circulation, the level of interest rates, the function of credit market, and the banking system. Okay, so we get that one. So we move to the third. I was not saying that we have three major tools that the government can actually use in stabilize the economy, but most of the time they make use of the two. We have two major. So the third one is actually trade policy. This involves measures taken by government in addition to exchange rate policy to influence the magnitude and direction of foreign trade. Studies around the positive rules of trade openness in economic growth. Trade openness increase the efficiency in the operation process, which affects economic activity. In summary, the three policies have the long-run objective of achieving economic growth in the country. There is a consensus on the role of this microeconomic policy in determining economic growth. The relationship between the microeconomic policy and economic growth has very much importance and has engaged economists and policymakers to analyze the role of microeconomic policy on economic growth. Fiscal and monetary policies are inextricably linked in macroeconomic management. Development in one sector directly affects development in the other sector. Development in one sector affect development in other sector. Undoubtedly, fiscal policy is the central to the health of any economy. That means the use of taxation and public expenditure to stabilize or to control the economy is actually the central of the health of any economy. As government power to tax and to spend affect the disposable income of citizens. I don't know, maybe you are getting the link now. I don't know, maybe you are getting the link. Like the link between the two, fiscal policy and monetary policy, and the major use of that fiscal policy. Say that they make use of that fiscal policy because the tax and even the way they spend actually affects our disposable income. The way government tax, now that they are collecting 15% of your salary, no, of your taxable income, it reduces the amount you can actually spend. It reduces it. It reduces our disposable income. So we have chapter review, then we have the uh, work question. We have the work question. Um, please go through it. Go through the work question. Please go through it at your own leisure time. So let us check chapter two. Let us check chapter two. Please go through the work question. Oh. Go through it and gain what in order further. The introduction of introduction to tax administration. Introduction to tax administration. So we have fiscal federalism and the Nigerian tax administration system. Fiscal federalism and the Nigerian tax administration system. Constitution provision regarding fiscal federalism in Nigeria. Fiscal federalism is the system of revenue generation and redistribution within the federal system. If they ask you, what is fiscal federalism? It is a system of revenue generation and redistribution within the federal system. It concerns the financial and attendant function and responsibility of the component units within the federal structure. Nigerian fiscal federalism is a product of historical, economic, political, geopolitical, culture, and social factor. Section 2, subsection 1 of the CFRN provides that Nigeria is one indivisible sovereign state to be known by the name of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, while Section 2 sub 2 further provides that Nigeria shall be federation consisting of states and federal capital. So what are the structure and taxing rights of different levels of government? So we have, according to what we still have, what is obtainable by now. Yes, they want to introduce another tiers of government, but according to what we have here, the three tiers of government. Each of these tiers of government actually have their right to tax. So now we'll be trying to check the structure and tax right of different level of government. This is what will have been taught in as much you have BSc. I'm very sure you'll have been taught. It's just um to just remind ourselves, just like a revision of what we have been taught. For tax purpose and in accordance with the constitution provision, Nigeria is divided into three constituencies: the federal, state, and the local government. Federal government is responsible for the assessment and the collection of tax due from all taxable corporate bodies. Don't forget, the federal government is responsible for the assessment and collection of tax due from all taxable corporate bodies, personnel of the Nigerian Armed Force, and those employed in Nigeria foreign mission, with the enactment of Federal Capital Territory Internal Revenue Service. Are we still together?
We are still together, sir.
All right, thank you. So we have each state government is responsible for the assessment and collection of the taxes due from all taxable persons resident in the state, except for personnel of the Nigeria Armed Forces. Once you are living in a particular state, that state is responsible for the collection of your tax, except Nigeria Army people, like Nigeria Armed Force. They are expect their own tax goes to the federal government. The taxing rights for each of the three tiers of government is as contained in the taxes and levies approved list for collection Act number 21 1998 as amended, which is now referred to as taxes and levies approved list for collection at Cap T2 LFN 2004 as amended. Don't worry, you are becoming like a law student. You just be quoting for them according to section 2 sub 2 of at Cap T2 LFN 2004 11 means law of federation of Nigeria. So we have taxes and levies collectible by each tiers of government. Taxes collectible by each tiers of government. We have for the federal government company income tax. They collect company income tax, withholding taxes on companies and non-residents. They collect petroleum profit tax, now hydrocarbon tax. Please note this. For people in professional, yes, you will do you are going to do petroleum profit tax. They will still teach you hydrocarbon tax. They have similarities and they have their own uniqueness. Before it was called petroleum profit tax, but now it is called hydrocarbon tax. So it's still the same thing. It's just the treatment of some certain item is what actually make them different. So hydrocarbon tax or petroleum profit tax is also what is also being remitted to the federal government. We have value added tax, we have tertiary education tax, we have capital gain tax for companies and non-residents, we have stamp duties, we have personal income tax in respect of members of forces, we have personal income tax in respect of members of armed forces. If it is personal income tax of a civilian now, it will be remitted to your state revenue service. Like if you are in Akwa Ibom now, your personal income tax is being remitted to Akwa Ibom state government. But for the member of Nigerian force that is residing in Akwa Ibom state, his own personal income tax is still going to the federal government. Note that the establishment of Federal Capital Territory Internal Revenue Service with the FCT Internal Revenue Service Act 2015, the personal income tax of persons residents in Federal Capital Territory Abuja is collectible by the Federal Capital Territory Internal Revenue Service. So we have the state government. So we have treated the tax collectible by the federal government. So we now move to tax collectible by the state government. Are we all together? Are we still
Yes,
together?
sir.
All right, thank you. So under the state government, we have personal income tax paid as direct assessment. We have withholding tax 6 on individual as restricted above. We have capital gain tax on individual. You know, when we were talking about federal governments, they are also collecting withholding tax, but it's on corporate body. But withholding tax of an individual, it goes to the state it goes to the state internal revenue service of that particular employee or of that particular individual. We have capital gain tax of individual. We have stamp duty on instruments executed by individual. We have pools, betting and lotteries, gambling and casino taxes. We have road taxes. We have business premises registration fee. We have development fee. We have naming of street registration fee in the state capital. We have right of occupancy fee on the land owned by the state government in urban area of the state. We have market taxes where the state finance it is involved. Are we all together? Are we
Yes, sir.
together?
Yeah.
Do you know that there's a particular there's a particular tax that I heard that they've actually implemented or they want to start collecting or whatever. But I don't know if they have actually implemented it. They said they want to be collecting tax on prostitutes. Àwọn aṣẹ́wó, àwọn olóṣó, àwọn náà wọ́n máa san tax. They will be paying tax this time around. So maybe in the next 5 years, maybe they are going to include that one also as tax that tax will be remitted to the federal government. But as at now, this is what we have under the state. This is what we have under the federal government. Then we move to what? Move to local government. What are the tax collectible under local government? That is the third tiers of government. We have shop and kiosk rates, tenant rates, on and off liquor license fee, slaughtering slab fee, marriage, birth and death registration fee, naming of street registration fee excluding any streets in the state capital, right of occupancy fee in rural area excluding those collected by the federal and state government, market taxes and levies excluding where state finance is involved, motor park levy, domestic animal license fee, bicycle trunk, canoe, wheelbarrow and cart fee, and other mechanical propelled trunk, cattle tax payable by cattle farmer only, merriment and road closure levy, radio and television license fee, and other than radio and TV transmitters, micro radio license fee, wrong parking charges, public convenience, sewage and refuse disposal fee, customary burial grant permit fee, religious places establishment permit fee, signboard and advertisement permit fee. These are what taxes collectible by the local government. It is pertinent imposed through the schedule of taxes and levied appropriate list for collection as amended in this order made by the Minister of Finance. Several new tax levy heads such as infrastructure maintenance development levy, wharf landing charges fee, consumption tax, and national information technology development levy etc. were introduced. They are telling that they have introduced some other taxes. However, on May 8, 2020, the Federal High Court sitting in Lagos delivered judgment in suit HCLCS finished number between the registered trustee of Hotel Owner and Manager Association of Lagos suing for itself and on behalf of all its members versus the Attorney General of the Federation and order and held that the Ministerial Order 2015 is unconstitutional, null and void. The court submitted that the Constitution vests the legislature with the power to make laws. The court further stated the schedule to a law are part and parcel of the law, and as such, only the legislature can amend schedule to a law. The implication of this ruling is that all taxes and levies were added to those ones in the tax and levied approved list of collection Act Cap T2/11/2004 by ministerial order are illegal and cannot be enforced. They are referring to the taxes we stated, all these consumption taxes, um, these ones that I highlighted. That's what they are trying to revert to. So we have composition and function of various organs of tax administration. Revenue Service, Nigeria Revenue Service. So what is the composition? Then we have chairman. So this also is one navigate or how to maneuver your way. I think it should not be tricky for you because they may actually be asking you to list the composition of Federal Inland Revenue Service, State Board of Inland Revenue Service. They will just list it like that. But one thing I want you to know is that almost all these board must have the chairman, must have the secretary. They must have the chairman, they must have the secretary. At least you have known two out of everything. You can now look for the other members that should be added. So for the composition of Federal Inland Revenue Service that is now being referred to as Nigerian Revenue Service, then we have executive chairman of the service, who shall be experienced in taxation as chairman of the service to be appointed by the president, subject to the confirmation of the Senate. 6 members with relevant qualification and expertise who shall be appointed by the president to represent 6 geopolitical zones. They must have the chairman, they must have 6 members which will represent 6 geopolitical zones. All right. So also we have 6, okay, a representative of Attorney General, the governor of Central Bank of Nigeria or its representative, a representative of the Ministry of Finance, not below the rank of director, the chairman of Revenue Mobilization Allocation, the group managing director of Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, the Comptroller General of Nigeria Customs Service or its representative, the Registrar General. So just try to read all this one, right? Try to read it, try to read through. So we have the power. What is the power of the Federal Inland Revenue Service Board? They provide the general policy guidelines related to the function of the service. They manage and superintend over the policy of the service on matters relating to the administration of the revenue assignment, collection, and accounting system under the Act. They review and approve the strategic plan of the service. They employ and determine the terms and conditions of service, including disciplinary measures of the employee. So just try to read all this one of this. Is plenty. See, the duties of the secretary to the just read all this one. Just read the Joint Tax Board. Just read all these ones. Read it up on your own so that we will not waste. Have limitation of tax administration. What are the limitations of the tax administration? We have poor public enlightenment, inadequate funding of tax authority, dread of qualified and or inexperienced tax officers at the state and local government tiers of government. We have tax evasion, inappropriate use of tax consultants, lack. You can just, these are not what you necessarily need to read before you can know them. What are the limitations of all this tax administration? We know that some of the people, these tax administrators employ, they are not qualified. Some of them they embezzle money. Some of them they don't have integrity. They don't have there is poor enlightenment, poor public enlightenment. There is no adequate funding for the tax authorities. At times they don't make use of proper tax consultants. So they are given a lot of challenges of multiplicity of taxes and possible solution. Definition of tax, we know that already. Multiple tax, what does it mean? What does multiple tax mean? It means when state government tax you, local government is still giving you the same tax. Or when federal government asks you to pay this tax, state government is still asking you to pay the same tax. That is a multiple taxation. Are we still together?
Yes.
All right, thank you for that. We
Yes,
are
sir.
almost we are almost done for today actually. Just bear with us. We have multiple taxation occur where the tax fee or rate is levied on the same person in respect of the same liability by more than one tax authority as I've explained earlier. Federal government asks you to pay this, state government is asking you to pay the same thing. What are the causes? What are the causes? The the listing of 20 items in Tax and Levies Act in favor the local government is one of the factors that motivate them into the inordinate drive for revenue through those items. Administratively, most of the state board of internal revenue are plagued with various problems, including poor funding, lack of infrastructure, poor remuneration, and lack of motivated skilled personnel. Some of the state government deliberately deny their local government the revenue due to them. So these are what you can actually think of it as well. What can make a government to tax a taxpayer like multiple times? Like the state government will come now. I could remember the other time I went to one of my friends' place and he has this restaurant and he was telling me that some people will come today and other people will come tomorrow. That's how they normally come and collect tax money. I was not telling them no, it's supposed not to be like that. So why is it like that? When the state government is not able to pay that is one of the reasons for multiple taxation. All the tiers of government usually fail to adequately fund their departments and agencies. This development makes them to embark on aggressive revenue drive, even illegally, in the name of increasing their internal generated revenue. Lack of tax information and data. What is now the impact of this multiplicity of taxes and tax compliance and revenue yield? Problem arising from multiplicity of taxes. A multiplicity of taxes come with a lot of uncertainty in the investment environment. The investors are not sure of the extent of which their income will be taxed very low because of numerous taxes that bring a little but with high cost of administration. Tax yield is the revenue that's accrued streaming, streamlining, streamlining the numbers of taxes in view of the low yield of many of the taxes. This would involve the review of current statutory provision in Nigeria, implementing implement the recommendation of the report of the Taiwo Oyedele's led Presidential Committee on tax reform, which is currently before the National Assembly. Taxes and levy collectible by each tax organ are clearly stated with uniformity across the federation. That is one of the things uh, our current Minister of Finance has actually been able to achieve. You see, the new tax reform they just introduced uniform those taxes from here at times. And also, I will try to check tax tax pathfinder, and then I will send us questions. Please try to work out those questions. Try to do them, and I wish you good success. Is there any question? Any question?
No question.
All right. Thank you so much for
No
joining.
comment.
All right. So please, we, we will continue from where we stopped next class. Next class. That should be chapter 3. Yeah. Objection and appeal. That should be chapter 3. So we'll continue from there, and then we may not even continue from here. We may continue from any other place, but let's just try to bear with each other. So thank you. Have a nice night rest.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, ma. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma.
Thank you very, very much.
Thank you, my boss.